Hello. So, Rocky is not here, but he will be in a minute. He was just having a quick shower after peeling logs for a couple hours. So, today is solstice, the longest day of the year. So, I have a feeling lots of intuitive people are going to have a difficult time sleeping tonight. But that's good. Maybe we can get some writing done. We had really warm, sunny weather yesterday, and then like a flash flood basically. It just poured, thunder, lightning. I got a couple videos. The thunder's so loud because it's a valley, so it echoes like crazy. Before this, I was hanging out with the dogs, went for a walk, kicking their ball. Then I went and fed the horses some oat treats. There's one that we need to catch. And I was testing him out. He's lured very easily with food. He came really close, and normally young ones don't. So if I had a rope, I probably could have chucked it over his neck and started on him and caught him, but we'll get Rocky to do that. So, still have some questions from last week. Rocky has one I wrote down, and then he's going to be here, so he should ask questions. And we will go from there. So I will get Seth. Oh, and I'm wearing a hat because it's an owl. It's geometric. And I've been wearing it all day. Because my hair is a mess. So I will get Seth. I'm just going to angle more this way. Hello. Alright. Last week's questions from Romeo. Number 31. What is wrong with the universe taking the path of most resistance to give me what I want? What is wrong with the path of most resistance? From what I understand, the universe is very powerful. The universe should be able to easily take any path that it wants to give me what I want, shouldn't it? If you have the path of least resistance and most resistance, think of it like a paved highway versus an unkept gravel dirt road. So you have to drive slower, there's obstacles, it's not as easy, but ultimately they're both going to come to the same destination. So it's up to you whether you take the long, difficult way or you take the easy, short way. Yes, the universe is powerful. Yes, it will still get you what you're looking for, but it's up to you with how long it takes for it to be delivered to you. So if you're choosing the path of most resistance, you're making it more difficult for yourself and slowing down the manifestation. So it's not recommended. 32. Are cells made up of even smaller cells? If I had a cosmic microscope, then would I be able to see the cells that make up the cells themselves and the cells that make up those cells? If you're in alignment, you might be able to see one level lower, but it's almost infinite. Like it keeps going smaller and smaller and smaller because you're made of trillions of cells, but you wouldn't be able to see every level of them because some of them would be invincible to the human eye. So you could see some, you wouldn't see all, but you could feel their presence. So if you were able to look at a cell of an animal and you were able to see that level that was smaller and you could actually see the they'd almost look like bubbles within the cell, you would get this kind of sense of a greater picture, and that's when you would not necessarily see, but feel and know that there was more to it. Alright, this next question ties in with Brenda's question, so 33. What will the world be like in 100 years? So, Brenda was asking about this kind of fanatic who, the article is called How One Man Got to the Other Side of the Veil. I'll just read a little background. Most people probably haven't heard of this, so it is just loading. So, other side of the veil and witness the coming shift. The shift part is correct. Some of what he says is correct. A lot of it is not interpreted the right way. So, we'll read you this. During a past life regression session, a man receives urgent information about the new Earth. We're all awakening and evolving, and we need to prepare for what's ahead. Gary, under hypnosis with clinical and transpersonal hypnotherapist Alba Weinman, connects with his higher self and reveals stunning details about the evolution of mankind and the coming new Earth. This shift is already happening, and our time to prepare is short. Watch the 2-hour video or read the transcript below. Blah, 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 blah. He's trying to sell a book. So, Randy read through a little bit of it, because she likes to have background information, but I could have told you generally what he said anyways. So, oh, look who's decided to bless us with his present.
I'm just looking for a laptop.
Can you shut the door?
Mm-hmm.
Make yourself useful?
Mm-hmm.
Add some peppermint to the diffuser?
No.
This is just proof that Rocky's joined. Okay. Back to it. So, he talks at first about, describe where you are, and he says it feels like space, it feels like Earth, I see colors, and he interprets the colors as energy and auras. And he says some are higher and some are lower. And it says some are brighter and some are duller. Of course, Rocky's going to distract everyone. He wants to point out the matching mugs.
I had no idea you were using that cup.
That says, love is all you need.
Love is all you need.
So let's back to it. So we're describing colors, auras, energies, blah, blah, blah. And he's saying that there's a big shift coming. And there's a new world coming. And that there's these physical energies that are going to come to Earth and manifest. And that they're going to make a big impact and a big change right away. All of this is correct. But then he says coming to Earth is difficult, not true. And that it's almost considered to be a warrior to be here. Well, that can't be true because all of you have lived thousands of lives here with different, aspects of your personality. And people have lived here for hundreds of millions of years. So how could there be, everyone in the world is a warrior? It doesn't make sense. That's his first hiccup. So then he talks about how there's going to be, similar to an ice age, there's going to be a new awakening. But it's not going to be a physical, it's just going to be a vibrational change, which you all know about. This man asked for leading edge information, but he just didn't interpret it correctly. So he's saying there's going to be an evolution of humanity. Well, yes, this is correct, because now everybody's going to remember how this universe works and how this Earth experience works, so that they can have the experience that they're seeking. But he's claiming that we will all go to a new Earth. That's not true. It's going to be like a rebirth of this Earth, and it's going to feel like a new Earth, but physically it will be the same Earth. And so that's what he gets wrong. That's where his big mistake is. So usually when something seems a bit crazy, it is. And he just didn't understand the material that was being fed to him. So when he was talking to the hypnotist, he was saying things in ways that he wasn't delivering the information right. So, you do not have to be scared. You'll be staying on this earth. But in the next 100 years, the law of attraction will be second nature, and people will be able to manifest a lot easier than they currently are. And emotions will be, a bigger focus, especially in school. And the connection between creating a reality will be better known. So, same Earth, different vibration, more leading edge stuff, a greater collective consciousness on the leading edge, so a lot more of a progressive Earth. Okay. "34. I heard through the grapevines that Antarctica is a great non-physical hotspot. Ironically. What makes Antarctica such a great non-physical hotspot, and are there any other hotspots on the planet?" There are many hotspots. Antarctica is a great one because it's a vast place with few people. It has little influence, especially throughout time, of human energy. So anywhere that's vast, and it could have lots of animals or it could not. So like the ocean, a volcano, a desert, an old growth forest. These places have lots of great energy. So with Antarctica, because it is, somewhere that's difficult to live, it doesn't have many humans, and so a lot of non-physical influence is still there, and different planes can cross over easily there. 35. I know that financial abundance is on the way. I can feel it, but what can I do in the meantime to get by without a steady flow of income? Start looking around at your belongings and think of what you have. You said you have a truck. You probably have a phone or a computer. So start looking at these items and think of them in terms more of money, and then you'll realize that money is all around you. If you need to sell things so that you have a flow of cash coming in, you can do that. You don't have to, but that's always an option. So then you start realizing how much stuff you have and the monetary value, and you realize you have quite a lot of money around you. You could, offer tutoring services online. You could put up an ad on Kijiji or Craigslist for lawn mowing, or other, small odd jobs or something, or, maybe you go to a moving company and ask if they need any help with a couple jobs coming up. There's always people who have work, you just have to seek it out. So start looking, and the more you do these jobs and you feel good about money coming in, that's when you're going to get to a place where there's some kind of job offer that you would be excited about, and that's going to come into your experience so that you do have this steady flow of income. 36. What prevents our missing limbs and body parts from automatically regenerating while we are asleep? Aren't we the most allowing while asleep? Yes, but as soon as you wake up, any work that was done overnight would be put on pause or even reversed. So, if you grow up thinking that, you know, once it's cut off, it's gone, if you're sleeping and it's starting to heal itself and grow again, when you wake up and you're like, oh, well, lost cause, then it stops and it can even reverse. So, it's your thoughts. Your thoughts create your reality, so you've got to change your thinking around the limbs, and that's when they can regenerate. Like, village people who live in the middle of the jungle, they've never been told differently, so it wouldn't cross their mind. They just know that, oh, okay, it'll heal and I'll have a new arm. And so they don't disallow it, so their limbs do grow back. What are you so smiley about?
Just happy to be here, Seth.
37. The Earth is obviously round in my reality, but where does the flat Earth theory come from? Is there an alternative reality where the Earth is actually flat, or is it just one big flat joke? There's many realities with many different, you know, planets and shapes and things and rules of its universe, but people just thought it was flat because when you look outside it all looks flat. No one really pieced together how flat could also equal round because they didn't know the laws of physics of this Earth. So it is round, and it's not flat in this reality. It's flat in like a lesser reality, but flat's very limiting because obviously you can't get from each side. You can only go across. So in like a lower level of existence, it is flat, but it's round. Okay. 38. Why do we yawn? Is it really because our bodies aren't getting enough oxygen, or is it because we're tired and need to get some sleep? It can be a sign from your body that yes, you need more oxygen or water, but it's become associated with being tired, so it's like this widespread phenomenon where now people who are tired will yawn. So it's just like sneezing or coughing. It's just your body trying to tell you something. So when you sneeze, maybe there's something that doesn't suit well with you, or you know, you're sick, so your body's trying to get rid of stuff. You might cough because your throat's dry, and it's another indication that you need water. So it's just your body trying to tell you different things. 39. Why is yawning so contagious? Is it a psychological thing? Yes, it is, because you'll notice that some people will copy it, even dogs, but not all humans will yawn if you yawn, because they've told themselves, like, I don't need to. So, and if somebody else yawns, it might alert something in you to remind you that, oh, I am actually thirsty too, and then, or I'm tired too, and then you yawn, and it's just like a validation that you're tired. 40. I own an electric guitar, but I still haven't quite mastered how to play it yet. I've been learning leaning more towards a piano lately, though. Which musical instrument would give me the most creative freedom if I were to learn to play? Electric guitar or piano? Why can't you play both? Whatever one you're feeling right now. If you're feeling kind of bored or stuck with the guitar, go with the piano. Whatever you're inspired to do, go for that. you'll find that they're both enjoyable, but, you know, sometimes you try something and you're just raised to think that you should see it through. So people will start to play the piano, and then once it gets more complicated, it's not as fun anymore. So they want to move on to something else, which is totally fine. If you're kind of on pause with the guitar for now, then take a break and go to piano. Okay, and then so we've answered those 3 already, so that is that. So Rocky's only question that he's come up with so far is about why are human babies so dependent on their mothers when animals, you know, after a few days, most of them are kind of on their own. Like a baby giraffe, once it's born, it has to learn how to walk right away. Baby deer, and then if there's a predator, there's this instinctual thing where baby deer know to run and to duck and lay down in tall grass and hide, camouflage themselves. And dogs, because they're very close to humans now, the babies, they don't walk as quickly as they used to. Like, they used to be like other animals where they would kind of be up and about right away, but now because they're like a pet, it's a fun experience for humans to play with them, so they stay puppies for longer now. But there are some animals that have more time. So a kangaroo, they have a pouch, and the baby is in the pouch and is carried around until it's bigger. Sloths carry their babies on their backs. Monkeys carry their babies on their backs. So it's not every single animal. Like, some came for the experience of a mother-child relationship other than as a human. But for humans, because the experience is based so much around relationships, the baby bonding with different people and having to rely on different people strengthens that relationship. And moms who come for the experience of being a mom, they usually do it as a human because it is such a longer process. So it's different experiences, but it has a lot to do with building relationships as well.
Seth?
Next.
I'll let you keep hammering out the list.
That's done.
Oh, are you done?
Yes.
Give me a minute. I'll think of one.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Come on. Well, you could be on a virtual hot seat.
What's that?
Romeo.
I did have a question earlier, but I can't remember what it was. Popped in my mind and then it went away.
So basically you appears a floating hat containing 3 interlinked heads that look like Play-Doh, Seth. Non-physical is even stranger than I imagined. Well, when we're in non-physical, we're separated, so you can think of more like 3 entities. And then if we were conversing with, you know, someone who just transitioned, then it would be 3 human type shapes. But in our reality, yes, it's more kind of like an abstract image. And then before we come to be channeled, we, yes, kind of mold like Play-Doh and then come. But Randy was reading a quote earlier, so I thought I would talk about it. And it was, just when the caterpillar thinks his life is over, he becomes a butterfly. This was inspired by the like hundreds of caterpillars that are around right now. And this is a good analogy for death. So every time you think you've died, you haven't, you've transitioned. And so you're transitioning to a new plane of existence. So you go to non-physical. Then you decide to come back for a different experience. So you come back to Earth, and then non-physical, and then Earth, and back and back and back. So every time you're dying, you're becoming a new butterfly. And if you think of a caterpillar to a butterfly, it's like this greater, more beautiful, more versatile creature that has wings and can get around easier. So you can think of yourself as transforming to something, you know, more and more each time.
Very good.
Well, you've had several minutes, so...
I'm just enjoying the coffee, actually.
Well, the tea is cold, so sounds nice.
I can share it with you if you want.
It would be sweet of you if you went and warmed it up.
You're about to end anyway, so...
In 35 minutes.
Yeah, it's not very long to wait.
If you ask questions.
I did have some questions. I can't remember now. I'll have to think of them. I might have some on my phone, actually, to check. Working good now. Let me check these. This might take a minute.
Well, another thing Randy was reading was about energy work. So there's this woman out of, I think it's Calgary, who does, I guess she considers herself a medium, but she does energy work as well. So she finds that when she's doing that type of work, her eyes get very strained, and she didn't want to damage her eyes. So she did a lot of energy work on her eyes and focused on them, you know, being strengthened and healing and feeling good. So she went to the doctor, and the eye doctor told her she had like perfect vision, and she was shocked because she didn't the last time she went. So she had the validation that her energy work was working, which is why it is important to do that kind of stuff. Like, when you channel, you don't have to have strain on your body. You can intend for it to be a physically, you know, light experience that feels good and is pain-free, like that kind of stuff. But if you find maybe at your job at the end of the day you have a sore back, you can do energy work on your back to make it feel better so that you don't have issues later in life. So we recommend energy work and reading up on it, and it will help you in the long run because you want to go seek the help of doctors. You mentioned that you come as one so that you're not terrifying. Why would you be terrifying if you didn't come as one? I'm afraid to even ask. If you could see it, it would be like Randy, but with 3 different faces poking out. So at one point she would look like this, then you'd kind of look at her, and then she would look different, and then she'd look different, and then different, and it would be like 3 faces competing through her. So it'd be like one of those glitchy horror film movies where the face keeps changing and you can't quite focus on it, and it would be too distracting to try and get information through, because you'd be trying to figure out what the heck was going on. So we just come through the eyes, and if you look closely, you can see a difference, and that's how we come through. Same with Abraham, and same with Theo, and anyone who channels. It's usually multiple individuals, but it's one image, because it's not easily processed to have everyone have a physical appearance. Still looking?
Okay. Does Roman still have questions? No? What about my book? Should I keep
Yes.
keep writing that one? Yeah.
When you feel inspired.
Okay.
Yes. Well, we will mention that Rocky helped his niece with her science project, which was to build a machine that contained 3 simple machines. And Randy was subbing for that class, and she was like, "What a headache, this sounds horrible." And the kids were coming up with all different kinds of ideas. They're 13-year-olds. And so she wanted to make a trebuchet, like a launcher with a rock. So they built one out of, a small one with wood, and it launched pretty good. And they had to do a little write-up with it too, and show their planning and their thinking behind it. So we've been told the class average was about 40, which is never good, because grades reflect the teachers. So usually teachers don't give out really bad grades unless they are really bad, because they kind of get it from the principal later. So obviously they didn't do so well. Apparently some tried to use cardboard, which isn't a very firm material. So her trebuchet got pretty much 100%. It was just her write-up that was a bit lacking, but she ended up getting 83, which for her is very good, because she's a little bit of a slacker sometimes, and we're working on that. So she was very proud, and now that she has this boost of confidence, she's going to try harder, because she's realized that she enjoys the high grades, and she realized she likes to excel and be at the top of her class. So it was a good experience for her. And now the next project is with the other niece, which is a popsicle stick bridge. So maybe we'll send some non-physical energy to her bridge so that it can't be destroyed, because the way she builds will be questionable.
Okay, here's one for you. If someone, I think we might have discussed this a little bit in a previous session. If someone, because you talk about, people look at time as this physical increments that we move forward in, and we don't really move back. But from all the material that we've read, we know that you come back in multiple lives, and you can go into the future or the past, or there is, the time doesn't exist as we think of it in the physical. And so I'm sure I know the answer to this question, but I'm going to ask it anyways. When you come, doesn't actually really make sense now that I'm thinking about it. When you, if you come back to a later time, like an earlier time, say in the 1800s or something like that, for your next life, do you change anything in this reality that we're in? Like,
No.
Does it affect any of the other?
No.
No.
Because time's made up, so how could the past affect today if the past changed when today and the past are all the same?
Yeah, I kind of, as I reread the question in my
Worked
mind,
it out on your own. Yes.
Um,
But where we thought you were going to go with, and you just wouldn't have the same words. So you could be, in the medieval times and understand the law of attraction, but those words wouldn't exist yet. They wouldn't be part of that time. It wouldn't be like, oh, I manifested. It would be like, oh, sweet, I got this. I'm really happy about it.
yeah.
I find I get things when I'm happy. It would be more basic language, but the concepts would be the same. So you can still be a powerful creator in that time. You would just have different explanations for it.
Okay. What about, we've touched on this also, original thoughts. Because we talk, Abraham always talks about us being on the leading edge of thought. And so the ideas and the thoughts that come into our mind right now, how much of it is original? Like, is it all from source? Is it all from your guides, from your inner being?
It's about half and half.
Soul? Yeah.
So when you feel that drop of an idea pop into your head, like something's deposited into your mind, like if you're writing a story or something, that's usually from source. If you're the niece, again, the one who's a bit goofy, had to write a story for her creative writing class, and it was so sad it made her sister cry, because it was a story about a soldier, but it was something that had been fed to her through automatic writing, which she didn't realize because she was just kind of thinking and sitting there quietly, and she's usually never still or quiet. Okay. Well, back to that. So, Non-Physical was able to feed her this story about someone who'd gone to the war as a young man and had come home, and it went really dark because he was having PTSD. So he didn't know how to handle it, and then she ended the story with, was he looking at a gun?
Yes. Yep.
He was looking at a gun and he said, I know how to fix this, and then it cuts so you can guess that he went and shot himself to escape. So that was not her original thought, although she would be given credit to it at this time. But the other stories that she usually writes are her original thought, and sometimes she's fed ideas when she's quiet and her mind is open. So we'd say half and half is original thought. So Randy was rereading the Hunger Games series, and she thought it's even more interesting now because, every story is some reality. So she thought it's pretty interesting that there is a world where kids are forced to go into this, Hunger Games and compete to win, and 23 of the 24, or no, there's 11 of them, so 21 of the 22 competitors die. So she thought that was pretty interesting. And if you think of the movie In Time, where currency is time, but you also are given a certain amount of time, and if you run out of time, you die, which is ironic because time does not exist. But she thought that was interesting because that wouldn't work in this society, because kids can be on the street begging for money and have none, but if they were begging in this world, they would run out of time and then die. So when you think back to all those stories and movies and things and think that they're all real, it gives you a different idea of the different worlds that exist.
I'm just trying to pop it up again. 'Cause it's
There we go. Okay. So yes, original thought.
Yep.
Half-ish is yours, half is fed to you from non-physical. But you don't have to feel like that's a bad thing, because non-physical is feeding you information that it wants and that you want and that people asking for it to come through. So you're just a translator, and you can take credit for it. It doesn't matter. Okay. Romeo, I'm currently stuck on a programming problem, Seth. Would you happen to know what's... Okay, we'll try this once more. Something to do with coding. There's a couple keys that are typed incorrectly that are causing issues with what you were trying to program.
Should he focus on the problem or just see the solution coming to him? How should he best?
Would you like to answer this one, Rocky?
No, I'm just trying to help you out. I just want you
Being
to
a
look
smartass?
good. I just want you to look good. Sorry, I'll just
Answer the